What's up, my witches? It's me, Luna, with part 3 of my Samhain season decks series. And this video will look at the ones that are actually about Samhain. So, paganism and where Samhain sits in the wheel of the year and everything that goes with Samhain. So, we're talking divination, scrying, um, harvest festivals, Feast of the Dead, ancestors, all that kind of stuff. The other two, which you can look up and I will link down below, are the first one was about just general autumn season decks that have that kind of vibe to them of going into the dark part of the year. The second one was about Halloween, and that pop cultural, if you will, celebration of trick or treating and costumes and horror and all that kind of stuff. So this one is about us witches. And it was hard not to grab every single deck in my collection that has witch in it or wizard in it. For instance, the Witches Tarot by Ellen Cannon Reed. I mean, it's beautiful. It's got black backs with a silver pentacle, so very witchy. But that is a deck that is centered on the Kabbalah, and it's not one that I really use. But you know what? Hold on. Oh my God, so hard not to pull every single damn deck off my shelf for this. And as I said in the first video, arguably, I could include every one of the 350 decks in my collection in these videos because they are for divination, and that's what Samhain is for too. But I didn't do that to you. So let's just start off with this one that I decided to grab at the very end. And it's the Witches Tarot by Ellen Cannon Reed and Martin Cannon. And, I am deciding to bring it in. And yes, I did finally edge it. And so, yes, Marcy, I did it and it looks great. It's not like a dark deck to begin with. And like I said, it is based in the Kabbalah, and the book that comes with it, there's a Witches Tarot book, but there's always also the Witches Kabbalah, and you can see that each of the major arcana is a pathway between the Sephiroth, two of the things on the tree of life. And so you can see, what the pathway is. But I did end up just right now deciding to grab it, not only because of the gorgeous backs, but because of one particular card. And it's not in this deck now that I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about this apple woman, but look at, the horned god. So it is also very pagan, and the court cards are interesting because they are the same images. These are two kings, but they just have the colors changed and their instrument or their tool changed. So it does talk about magic. It does talk about divination. That alone could have landed it on this list. But, as far as other decks that have the word witch in it, I did not automatically include those just because they say witch someplace. Okay. Next, and I'm just going to work my way down. Here's Grimalkin's Curious Cats. This was a gift from Tavia Childs, so thank you and blessings to you, Tavia. And if any of you ever choose to send me a gift deck from the wish list below, every time I pull a deck out that's a gift deck, I speak your name and send you blessings. So if that's incentive, go for it. But Grimalkin's Curious Cats. So we're talking about cats, and that always brings up witches. And look at the cats and the crows. This could have gone on the general Samhain season list, but it didn't because it's talking about, Grimalkin is one of those classic names of a witch's familiar. So here we are talking about magic. We're talking about connecting with animals who can be that go-between between manifest life and spirit. So that's why it got put on this list as opposed to the general autumn list, which my other two MJ Cullinane decks ended up on. So having looked at familiars, let's go to Tarot Familiars. And we've got these beautiful dark backs. And these are Pippish cards. So you do have to have that grounding in traditional tarot, like in Tarot de Marseille, or just, knowing your Rider Waite and being able to apply those meanings. Like Seven of Wands, you can talk about holding your own or, standing firm against opposition. But because it talks about familiars, that's what landed on this list. And truthfully, and look at that, I think it more appropriately would have gone on the first list. Wolves. But because it said familiars, and because I haven't looked at this deck in a while, I didn't really remember that it was Pippish. This is why I haven't looked at it for a while, because I don't normally read Pip decks. I like images. And that one needs to be edged as well. I'm going to keep that out so I can edge it while I'm watching TV at night, waiting to get sleepy. Okay. Now, let's go here. This is The Well-Worn Path. Don't remember the author. You will see it if you search this to look at the unboxing. This is a very pagan deck. So we see a tree and a door and the crossroads, initiation, hand fasting. It does encompass the full wheel of the year, but it is talking about the path of the witch and that magical path, which is a path of self-discovery, a path of learning how to work magic, connecting with nature, connecting with the elements, Eightfold Path, the Reed, Book of Shadows. So for a Samhain deck, why would you not? I mean, Samhain is a pagan festival. Halloween is not. Halloween is like the appropriated version of it. So why would you not grab a deck that is very much centered in paganism when it's time for Samhain? Here are two more. I will do these together because they are the same author. This one has its own book, big book that is set aside. These need to be edged as well. This is the Sacred Circle Tarot. It's a keyword deck, which is wonderful. So it's Pippish and keywordy. Thothy. I don't know if it's strictly Thoth with the keywords, but it is Thothy. I mean, look at rebirth. Instead of judgment, we have rebirth, and that's what Samhain season is all about. Transformation, death, and rebirth. So again, this follows up on that last deck for being just a pagan deck. Here's the High Priest. Now, I have other pagan decks, one of them, Tarot of the Old Path, that I did not choose for this because it's white backgrounds. It has very much lighter, brighter colors. That feels more like a Beltane pagan deck. This definitely feels like a Samhain pagan deck. So we've got, these beautiful images. I'm going to keep her on top for a reason. And the next one, which I'll be able to tell you the author, since I have the book for this one, is the Pagan Ways Tarot. Anna Franklin is the author of this deck as well. So while this one has, and I'm going to bitch about the packaging here, it had these little inserts to hold the halves of the deck, which would fall out. So I threw those away, but you still have to split the deck to make it fit in the box. So we see we've got this kind of directional, but we have the tools of the elements, and then these we've got the triple moon, same kind of dark. I am looking for a particular image here, and I might not spend too much time faffing around with it. But the same woman, these are photographic. So she has taken photos of the characters, and then, oh, look at him. Look at the hermit. Isn't he wonderful? So again, look at the dark black background. Even though these are, generally pagan, and pagans don't only exist at Samhain, if you are pagan, this is a great deck for your celebration of Samhain. It's going to have that dark, there she is. And this one, she is Seven of Wands. So look here. Years later, still every bit the warrior. Come on, pop in. Come on, yeah, humor me. Clearly the same person. And I really appreciated having someone I recognized in the deck. So again, this deck is not pippish. So if you like the style of these, but you want something with actual images rather than pips, go with this one for sure. It's going to give you more of an illustration. Okay. But again, just that dark and wonderful vibe, and then dealing with the actual Wheel of the Year. This deck also gives you great blocking cards. So you can see the back lets you know it's a blocking card, but we've got the Shaman and we've got the Lady. The book, or the box, is long gone. Long gone. All right. I don't have room. I'm sorry, Boo. I'm sorry, Boo. You cannot see him behind me because he is the darkness. Okay, Ancestral Path. This deck I chose because one of the celebrations, parts of a Samhain celebration, is about honoring the ancestors. So, we are centered at Samhain on the topic of death and life in death. And while we look at our ancestors as those that came before us, those that are now dead, we are the continuance of them. We are the life in that death. So while the images aren't dark and Samhain-y, just the concept of looking at the ancestors, and this deck is set up with different cultures. We've got like the Celtic-ish cultures for the cups. We've got Egyptian for staves. We have Asian, Japanese specifically, for swords. And we have Indigenous Americans for sacred circles, which are the pentacles. So again, and you see that the Hanged One was a baby in the womb. So the Ancestral Path Tarot really celebrates, some significant cultures of the past, sort of legends, and what's the word I want? I don't know, just those, different cultures. But the fact that it's talking and focused on ancestors is what landed it here. Now let's go specifically into the dark. Here's the Dark Goddess deck by Barbara Michael John Free and Flavia Kate Peters. This deck, obviously, it's pretty easy to see what the heck is going on here. Must have been the last reading I did. We've got gilding, and we've got this Triskelion, is that what it's called? I can't remember. But we have dark goddesses here, and that's all about the dark part of the year, right? And hell. Shulin-Ahig. The thing that my argument with this deck is that they don't know how to draw old women. That's a crone. She looks like a young woman in old makeup. That bugs me. But we do have amazing dark goddesses in this deck. And so it is well worth having if you're going to go into that dark. I've got chunks that are upside down. Oh, I don't get it. Anyway, there is that. So it's worthy, even though I have an argument with the artwork a little bit. Let's have some body diversity, you know, and some real old woman. And speaking of that, here is a deck that definitely does know how to draw old women. This is the Sacred Hags Oracle. So if we talk about the goddess at this time of year, we are talking about her crone aspect and honoring the elders. You know, when we honor our ancestors, we have to honor our living elders as well. And our crones, who are the wisdom bearers and the teachers of magic. And so this deck so exquisitely honors the crone. And in a more realistic way, it's a wonderfully diverse deck. Look at this, Tears of the Earth Bride. And, you know, honoring the crone in the form of hag, which, you know, you look at the witch burnings, and so many of those women were targeted simply because they were old, they were widowed, and they owned property. And the church wanted that property. And the law said, if you charge someone as being a witch and you convict her and burn her, you can have her property. So, yeah. Hag of Cats, we've got initiations. I'm looking for some more of the older faces, but just, you know, the hag also being that kind of dangerous shadow keeper, blood of the warrioress. So we do have young looking women in here too, but we do not stray away from that dark and dangerous image, and that beautiful rather than pretty. Because pretty, there's a great expression that says, and it's, you know, very Judeo-Christian in or nature. It says God makes women beautiful. Let's change that to goddess. The devil makes them pretty. Pretty is about being outwardly attractive. Beautiful is about being fully yourself, unapologetically, and shining that image out. So this deck definitely depicts the crone as hag, as beautiful and wise and not pretty. Perfect deck for Samhain. Hold on, still finding places to put things. Then we also have The Witches Oracle by Sally Morningstar, illustrated by Danuta Mayer. Another one that needs, no, see, this makes me disappointed when I look at this and go, ooh, I want to edge that in dark purple, and then I turn it over and it's got white borders. It's going to be a bummer. So the Witches Oracle, again, simply because Samhain is the highest festival on the wheel of the year. Beltane is second highest, but that polarity of Scorpio Taurus is the most powerful because we are literally dealing with life and death. At Samhain, we are dealing with the death of the crops in the fields, which yields all the seed that will feed us through the winter. And then that seed at Beltane goes back into the ground. So we have kind of a sympathetic magic of something dead going into the tomb, but then new life springs forth from that. So, and you know, everything depends on both of those ends. Our survival depends on that polarity between Samhain and Beltane. If we don't have a sufficient harvest at Samhain, we're not going to make it through to Beltane. We're not going to make it through the winter, or at least it's going to be a very hard winter. When we get to Beltane, if we don't have sufficient seed left over from the winter to plant, then we're also not going to make it, you know? So this deck just acknowledging the witches and acknowledging the wheel of the year and the position of Samhain on that wheel as the most significant festival. All right. I got to stop and say I'm proud of myself for not spending too much time on each one of these because we could be here forever. All right. Where shall I go next? Let's go to The Witching Hour Oracle by Sherry Gerhardt. This is a newly edged deck as well. It looks so much bluer on camera. It looks much more purple to me. But this is about the 13 moon cycles of the year. And each moon cycle, like buck moon, wolf moon, cold moon, hare moon, ice moon, snow moon, blue moon, each one of those moons has maid mother and crone images. So very witchy. And if you look at just the night vibe, and this is a deck that absolutely, truly, and exquisitely depicts the maid mother crone triplicity. There are photos. We have actual beautiful old women. Let me find some of them. There's a maid. And you can tell which ones they are because of the moon phase behind. The left pointing horns are maidens. The right pointing horns are crones. I mean, look at her. She is an actual old woman. That's what we look like. Thank you. Not apologetically old, you know, post facelift, but actual showing that body map that our wrinkles are. They show the journey that we've come along, right? Look at her. Look at her and know that if you live the long life that you want to live, you too will have that map etched across your face. The body diversity in this deck is beautiful. Just gorgeous. So yeah, great deck for divination on Samhain. Now these are definitely this one arguably could have gone on the Halloween. It should. I will say this should have gone on the Halloween list, but it didn't. It ended up here. It slipped through the cracks. But the haunted house. Come on, how Halloween is that? There we go. We've got these really dark backs and dark, 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 dark images. That's the Eight of Pentacles. So we have images here that aren't necessarily in keeping with the traditional. Some are close. But it's haunted house, so it's going to be dealing with that stuff in your subconscious that comes up to haunt you. That's the moon. There's one in particular that I'm looking for. There's the devil. You know, some of these you can tell like people in costume, but it's just a wonderful deck about the things that scare us. So great for Halloween readings. Okay, the one I'm looking for in particular, this great horror movie image. Hanged man is a skeleton bricked up behind a wall. Okay, the one I'm looking for in the tower. The Knight of Swords is there. Look at the Ace of Swords. Oh my God. So we're talking about big scary things. This one deals with those scary things with no tongue in cheek. And I said on the Halloween video that sometimes the dividing line between this video, the Samhain video, and the Halloween video is the humor factor. And so some of those on that show these dark images, but there's definitely a tongue-in-cheek, or there's, you know, you can see the man behind the curtain. So I will maybe revise that. This could very easily have gone on the Halloween list, but I think it does belong on the Samhain list because it is very serious. It does not have tongue-in-cheek. It does not present humorous images. And, you know, if we're doing Samhain right, it's not about humor. You know, there's nothing to laugh about here. We are traditionally, when I was doing Samhain rituals, when I was still doing Mother Drum, one of the features of those rituals was a keening ceremony. And keening, Arabic women do this when there's a burial, and they will be by the grave and they wail. It is wailing. It's the banshee. And so keening is about just opening up that channel and letting all your sorrows, your grief, your everything just come barreling out of you from your gut on up, you know? And so that deck, like I said, I revise. It belongs on this list. Now we have the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot, and this was a gift deck from Delilah Mendoza. So blessings to you, Delilah. Blessings and thanks. This is a beautiful, wonderful, amazing Samhain deck. And you have like these little ghosty images, but this is not in any way a Halloween deck. Every single card in the book, and let's see, this, yeah, Lisa Hunt is the author and artist. Every single card has a specific tale attached to it from so many different cultures the world over. Ghost stories from cultures. There are ghost stories from like the play Macbeth, but most of them are cultural stories and legends. And the meanings that she gives, this is a deck that steps outside of Stuart Kaplan as far as meanings go. And the meanings are completely in line with the legends that she, the little story that comes with each card and each image. And then she derives the divinatory meanings from that story. So it is another absolutely exquisite deck. I've been using this not daily, but frequently. It's been sitting next to my desk here, and I've been using it frequently ever since the fall equinox. All right, I'm going to go to this one next. The Phoenix cards. This, I do believe, is out of print by Susan Shepard. This is a deck that is all about past life. That's the point of this, reading and interpreting past life influences with the Phoenix deck. So, what is Samhain about? Death and rebirth. Yes, this is a crappy box, but I left the insert there and just taped it down. So there's the Phoenix. And each one of these cards, oh, okay, I am blocking, are wacky. Okay. So each one of these images is from a very specific culture and even a very specific time frame. Like this is Elizabethan England. I think that might be Inuit, something Native American. This is from the European human populations from like 10,000 years ago. That's a Christian image. That's just universal. This is Orthodox, I believe. Some of these I don't remember. But it's, you can get a reading from this deck that's not about your past lives because she gives, has different categories in the meanings. And the way you use it is you spread them all out. So, you can get this past life reading like once or a couple of times. You spread the cards out, and then you pick the ones that you're most attracted to or that you have the biggest reaction to, whether that's attraction or aversion. And then you read, and supposedly that is your soul kind of remembering a past life. And the information is stunningly accurate. So wonderful deck for Samhain when you want to look back at the ancestors, when you want to look at your own past lives or see what might be active in your life now that is a past life holdover that you need to deal with. Perfect for Samhain. Divination. So is this one, the Dark Mirror. Ooh, sirens. Don't listen to them. The Dark Mirror. So one of the disciplines that we engage in at Samhain traditionally is scrying. And, in the days of my more elaborate rituals, I would set up an altar like on a mirror. I had a big mirror I could put on the floor. We set the altar around it, the cauldron. I have a giant actual cast iron cauldron, and I would go and get dry ice, and we would do this thing where we've got the dry ice coming across the mirror, and we would use that for scrying. Now, right there on my altar, right above that little pyramid that's changing colors, is an actual dark mirror, a scrying mirror that was given to me by my friend Darcy. And that's what one of the things we do on Samhain, because it is the point of the year where the veil is thinnest. And why? Because death is right here. At Samhain, we are confronting death up close and personal. So we have access to those that have gone before, and we have access to the things that live outside of this physical realm. And a dark mirror is a scrying tool. So in order for it to be a scrying tool, you need to not be able to just look in it and see your image. It's got to be something else. And if you get a black mirror, which is basically a piece of glass that has black painted on one side, so that when you look in the glass side, your eyes don't have anything to focus on as far as depth of field. And if you can also set it up where if you have a room where there's a big mirror hanging a little bit above you so you don't see your reflection in the glass, and you hang like black around it. So you just go into this, room, and there's black. Looking into that glass, your eyes get fucked up and they cannot find where the depth of field is. They can't find what to focus on. And what happens is they do this funny little cross thing that you may have noticed this happening to you, like if you look at a screen. It happens to me a lot looking at a window screen, and it's like I can't tell what I'm focusing on. It's because your eyes have gone into this funny crossed thing. It also happens with the Magisha Alga, the magic eye posters that were all the rage back in the 80s or something, where you have to like hold it up close to your face and then you pull it back. When your eyes are in that funky focus, your brain goes into theta, which is trance state. So we use scrying mirrors in order to drop our brains into the theta state, and that is a state in which we have access to the unconscious side of the mind. So this deck is all about the shadow. This is by Riccardo Minetti and Laura Sava. So it deals specifically and explicitly with toxicity, with trauma, with shadow, the shadow side of things that we might not really want to deal with. The child I was meant to be, anger and chains, perchance to dream, alone in the world, bird in a cage, I won't cry for you, the temple of my body, the triumph of lies, today for tomorrow, atonement, calling the storm, obsession, hiding your true self, colorless angel, masquerade. I mean, what a perfect deck for Samhain. So when you're doing your scrying, or if you can't set up scrying, this would be a great deck to use kind of as a scrying tool. And what happens with a scrying mirror is, and you can also use a bowl of water set on something black, and then you fill it with water and your eyes can't find the focus field there as well. But what happens is when you go into that state and you are able to just be there and clear your mind, images come up. Whether you're clairvoyant and can see those images with your open waking eyes, or whether it's just images that appear in your mind, that's how you do the scrying thing. Is this my last one? This is my last one. And we have Seasons of the Witch, the Samhain Oracle by Lorianne Anderson and Juliet Diaz. This deck I like better than the Yule Oracle, and I know there's a Beltane one. I can't remember if it's out or not yet, and I will be getting that one as well. This one I like better than the Yule because the little verses are slightly less weirdly enigmatic. But my advice to you would be to don't put too much weight on those little verses. They don't really work for me too much. But the rest of it is very Samhain. Look at pumpkin, spirit protectors. Third harvest. Samhain is the third harvest festival. First one is Lammas on August 1st. The second one is Mabon, the equinox, and then the third one is Samhain. And by Samhain, everything that's left in the fields is dead. It's gone. We have stubble fields, we have leaves gone, we have everything going down into the blackness of the earth in order to rot and become fertile again in the spring. So, haunted, grief. So, this is another deck that is perfect for dealing with shadows, crystals and herbs, seduction, broom, obviously the very witchy topics. There's witch herself, voices, elements, owl, bat, black cat, banshee. But again, there's no tongue-in-cheek here. These people aren't in costume like with the Trick or Treat Tarot, All Hallows Eve, dark moon, spider, mischief, greet the darkness. So again, no humor here, just confronting the topics of the season, death, death. We're not dealing with rebirth here. We're dealing with death. But, you know, since we are working on a wheel, we always know as pagans and witches that the death contains new life. So, what did you think, you guys? Did you agree with my choices or not? And I know there are many other decks that could go on my Halloween list and on my witches list. I mean, I've got the Wizard's Tarot, the Spellcaster's Tarot, those kind of things that I could have put on there, but I didn't because they just don't have the vibe. The vibe is what's really important here. What do you think? What decks do you have that you might add to this list? Because I'd be very, very interested in getting those decks if I don't have them, or in thinking about why I didn't include them if I do have them. So let's engage. Drop a comment. I will respond. Hit like and subscribe if you, in fact, liked this video and want to hear more. I will see you on a live stream. Look down below. Oh, yes. Look down below for the unboxing videos for each of these decks so you can look at them more in depth. And I will see you next time. The live streams I'm doing around this will feature these decks so you can really see them in action. Until I see you again, this is Luna. Blessed be and blessed Samhain to you.